the crews will be able to go out and get to work cleaning up the debris, getting the trees out of the way, and getting those power lines restored. But this is what they have to deal with here. Look at this. You've got these trees that are down here. This is a power line. That tree is still dangling right there by the grace of those power lines. But we're not out of the woods just yet, because we still know that the gusts have been around 38 miles an hour. Let's get back into Carl Parker in the lab right now. And Carl, I know that a lot of people want to get out of their homes, but they can't just yet, because we could still see scenes like this all across the city, even after Michael's continued to move inland.
Yeah, a lot of down trees and a lot of down power lines. Very dangerous out there right now. And we've got a new advisory on the storm. It's now an 80-mile-per-hour hurricane, so still a hurricane, still moving northeast at 17 miles per hour. In this is what it looked like earlier today. Look at how incredibly well formed that eye and eye wall were as it crashed in to northwest Florida. We have never seen as strong a storm hitting that part of the country, and in fact this was the third most intense hurricane to make landfall in U.S. history. Tremendous wind showing up here as the storm came through. 129-mile-per-hour wind gust at Tyndall Air Force Base, 115 Cromaton, 116 Panama City, and 115 all the way up into Donaldsonville in the southwest part of Georgia. So the storm is still going strong. It's coming down in intensity, but still a very serious threat for wind damage and power outages and heavy rain. Right now, a Category 1 storm, 80-mile-per-hour wind, moving towards the northeast, as I mentioned, at 17 miles per hour. Hurricane warnings still in effect across southern Georgia, and tropical storm warnings coming up into North and South Carolina. We want to show you some drone video from Panama City, and this gives you a sense of the amount of damage that occurred. Look at this. This is a gymnasium. We can only hope that no one was in there at the time, but you can see how a wall was just blown out here. And this is just a terrific amount of wind damage. Look at the trees. See how the trees have been sheared off there? This looks very much like tornado damage, which is not a surprise because you were looking at tornado-like wind coming through this region. Here you see a wall that has collapsed, a roof that has come down right through there. Again, we can only hope that no one was in that structure at the time, but this is the type of damage that you would expect to see when you've got winds gusting to 110, 120, and 130 miles per hour. And you can see how large sections of roof just peeled away there. And again, there's that gymnasium with the wall that was actually blown out in that case, and just a terrific tree damage all across the region. There, another vantage point, as you see a whole wall has just collapsed there and has been blown out, and that of course allows all of the rain to get in, all of the water to get in, and so you're looking at some structures that are probably just really significant losses as a result of that. So this is the type of thing that we saw an awful lot of all across that region, and we're not going to see as much of a wind threat going forward, but there is still wind out there. The wind's now gusting to 40 miles per hour in Macon, gusting to 35 in Atlanta, so it is picking up in Atlanta, now 24 in Augusta. There is a look at the power outages. There are some power outages in Atlanta, much more numerous in the southern part of the state, and obviously in northwest Florida, about 300,000 people without power in northwest Florida. And looking at the model forecast for the storm going forward, we expect strong winds to come up into Columbia tomorrow morning, gusting 50 to 60 miles per hour, and then continuing to move up and into North Carolina. Now we want to go to Mark Elliott. He's been in Cordele in South Georgia. Mark, been by there many times driving down to Florida. Looks like the wind may be letting up just a little bit for you now. It was going pretty strong the last time we checked in with you.
Yeah, honestly, Carl, I think the wind is actually stronger, but it has just shifted direction. So now I'm in that wind shadow from the building where the camera is protected inside, shooting through a doorway at me out here. Now, before we were getting that due east wind coming basically left to right across your screen and really whipping me around. Now I think it's starting to come out of a more southerly direction. So if I look at the corner of the building past me, it is a tempest, right? It is absolutely wild. We'll try to get you some of those shots coming up. But right now, this is the easy part of the building, right? There's just a little bit of this swirling wind. It's actually hard to know which way the wind is going to come from next because it is doing a little bit of that whirlwind next to the building and kind of wrapping back around itself. but I actually hear more wind now than I did even, say, 20, 25 minutes ago out here. Power is a big problem across the area. A quick look towards I-75, and in any direction that I can see, there are no lights on the highway. So as Carl was talking about those power outage numbers continuing to increase, this area has seen that as well. Earlier tonight, I was saying I saw one big one of those tall lights above a parking lot. That is out now also. Let's go down to Panama City Beach now, where Chris Bruin is hanging out. Chris, the image that's going to stick with me for a long time are those huge waves crashing onto the pier just outside Panama City.
Oh yeah, Mark, I think a lot of people are going to remember that. For people who got to see that, witness that firsthand, I don't think they'll ever forget it. I mean, that just does not happen. Even in tropical storms, you don't get those kind of waves. I mean, we're talking serious beach erosion. It's going to be a lot. I remember
what tends to happen in these storms,
I remember just looking out. Okay.
And I think we still have lost Chris Bruin. So I'm going to take over from here. Let's talk more about the risks that continue tonight. The reason why Cordele is under a mandatory curfew that lasts all the way until 8 a.m. And it is largely because of this combination of rain, making the soils really kind of loose and able to let go, and then the wind doing the number on the trees. I'm looking over to my left because I just heard the next gust on its way in. It is howling out here. The sounds through this storm are pretty incredible. In every lull, you can hear frogs chirping in the kind of the wooded, kind of marshy area behind me. And yet you also have this crashing of the wind and the water coming through. The sounds of these storms are just incredible. We are about an hour, maybe an hour and a half away from the real core of what's left from Michael coming through Cordele. So you could honestly see more power outages before we're really on the clear on the other side of this with much lighter wind and rain. Let's try Chris again. Chris, I know it's tough broadcasting in these storms. So there's all kinds of wind and rain in the way for that signal.
Oh, yeah, and the big issue here is we have no service. I mean, it's just hard. I have no access to my phone, and we're just trying to get by. No power, of course, obviously, here, and ground zero pretty much, where we saw landfall several hours ago back this afternoon. The rain has stopped, but imagine this. You have no power, pretty much no cell service here with most carriers, and also a mandatory boil water notice. And on top of that, it is just a mass chaos here of down trees, down power lines, down telephone poles, holes in people's roofs, water inside people's homes from the rain getting into every nook and crevice. And then you have scenes like this. I mean, these are like 50-foot marinas that are just completely torn apart. Now, some of the boats inside are untouched, but unfortunately, how do you even go about cleaning up a mess like this safely? It's just likely they're just going to have to bulldoze everything. It's a complete loss, even for the boats that didn't necessarily sustain damage. And what you can't see is on the right, there's where the water is, and there's just a trash can of held up on top of each other like toys, like Hot Wheel cars. It's amazing that primarily the wind is what did that be here, because we didn't see the surge because we were on the west side of the eye. All right, but let's go back into the studio with Carl Parker.
All right, very good. Thank you so much for that, Chris. And let's talk a little bit about the rainfall threat. We've got an ongoing threat for very heavy rain and flash flooding. There is a flash flood warning now in effect in Macon, Schley, and Sumter counties. Here, by the way, is Cordele. This is where we were talking to Mark just moments ago. There's the core of the storm right about in there. So it's coming in as we speak, and very strong winds all around this area. This little semicircle right through there is where you're going to see exceptionally strong wind coming across 75 right now, not very far away from 16 as well. And where you have the heaviest of rain, that's where you're more likely to get very strong winds. You're going to bring the momentum down. There's much stronger wind aloft in a hurricane, and so where you've got heavy rain, you're going to bring some of that momentum down, and you tend to see stronger winds than you would say in this area on the back side of the circulation where there is less of that heavy rain. You're going to leave more of that momentum up in the upper part of the storm. There's a look at the 6-hour rainfall. Huge area, more than 3 inches of rain, and then within that, a pocket of 5 to 8 inches of rain there, adding to the flood concerns on the coast and then farther inland. And then as we watch the model forecast going forward, we see that heavy rain coming up into the Carolinas right into tomorrow morning. So it's going to be a pretty tough go of it in terms of a flash flood threat. Now, this is looking at some of the video from Panama City Beach earlier today. What's amazing about this is we often talk about the dirty side of the storm, that is the eye wall in the right front quadrant of the storm that tends to be the strongest part of the storm. But when you're talking about a storm that is a high-end Category 4 and just shy of being a Category 5, even that western eye wall, the one that is moving back offshore, where winds are moving offshore as the storm comes in, even that part of the storm is going to be devastating. That's exactly what we saw today in Panama City Beach. Look at that. Look at the motion. Talking about winds that were up to around 120, 130 miles per hour. So that is a tornado-like level of wind. And in fact, we have seen a lot of tornado-like damage across the region. Many trees down, power poles split, structural damage like you're seeing right there. Just a lot of scenes like this from across that region. It's going to be a very long recovery indeed. We want to get back out to Tevin Wooten now. He is in Tallahassee. And Tevin, you know, we've been talking a lot about the trees in that region, and a lot of trees down, a lot of power outages there. It's been a tough go of it for Tallahassee, even though they're fairly far inland.
Yeah, fairly far inland here, and they actually took somewhat of a blow from Michael, but it was on the eastern side of that storm and just grazed the city here. And I don't know, we saw some flashing lights earlier. They're starting to go away a little bit as trucks go around here, but that's just a testament to the fact that utility crews are out here. They're trying to do the best that they can as some of the wind gusts pick up, but this is what they're out surveying. They're going around seeing what is out here, the extent of the damage. It's sort of a first eye or a fresh set of eyes out here because they honestly don't know until they come out here and see it for themselves, and some law enforcement officers have been out here as well. And that's what you want. You want the first responders and you want the utility crews. You, however, do not want the residents out here because they come out, you clog up the roadways, you stop the flow of traffic for the utility crews, and then they can't respond as quickly as they would like to, which, of course, everybody wants their power on. And speaking of power outages, we've got about 100,000 people in Tallahassee without power right now, and that's due to the fact of what's behind me here. And so, Austin, I want you to show this tree right here. Every once in a while, the one that's on the power line starts to dangle a little bit. If you go up now, Austin, show them where it came from. Right here. That trunk is probably the size, maybe about 3 to 4 feet taller than a power pole. So the section that snapped down landed on some of those lines there. But that's just one of many places across the city that are seeing similar scenes like this. The police department tweeted out that the amount of downed trees and power lines is, quote, a lot. So that's just showing you the extent of how much damage is here all throughout the city. Now, the good news is the airport is back open for military and first responders to get in and get relief in and out of the city, which this is a huge hub in this area. The commercial flights, those should resume mid-morning tomorrow. We'll go right over here. This is a crew or a worker that was out, utility worker that's been out for probably the better part of half an hour, just showing you that they're out here doing the best that they can. Of course, it's nightfall right now, so they can't see everything, but they are trying to do the best that they can. And certainly, speaking of nightfall, you don't want to be out here because the trees could still come down as we have winds gusting around 30 to 40 miles an hour. They could certainly pick up, and then those trees could come right back down and bring down more power lines that could possibly even be live. Speaking of live, we'll be live in Tallahassee. We'll be right back.
Can I get vaccinated and still get the flu? Stay tuned.
New Alka-Seltzer Plus Power Max Gels. Concentrated power. 25% smaller pill. Max your cold relief with Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Brought to you by Alka-Seltzer Plus.
How do you top mac and cheese? Start with 100% clean ingredients, like Vermont white cheddar. Then add bacon, barbecue chicken, or Baja blend. Catering and delivery now available. Panera, food as it should be.
Lovely. How does one make such delightful cucumber sandwiches?
Frank's Red Hot sauce, Your Majesty. I put that on everything.
Frank's Red Hot Original, the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Behold, the Pacifica Hybrid.
It's half gas, half electric. Kind of like I'm half mom, half comedy sensation. What?
More like half mom, half got dressed in the dark.
Half drama queen, half accessory stealer. Yeah, I know that's my bracelet.
Mom, how long are you two gonna do this?
With a 566-mile driving range, I can do this all day. Hope we see some of your friends.
Millions of people across the country are losing weight and improving their health. What do we all have in common? Nutrisystem.
Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month. It's your favorite foods made healthier.
No counting, no measuring, no weigh-ins.
Order your 28-day plan and save 40% off every program.
Join the millions who have lost weight and improved their health. Go online right now.
Order Nutrisystem now, and for a limited time, save 40% off every program, plus get probiotic shakes free.
Today's Best Western rewards you in a flash. Get a free night fast with points that never expire at over 4,200 hotels worldwide. And get double rewards points on every stay. Book now at bestwestern.com.
You can drink, eat well, and exercise, but to look completely healthy, you need healthy skin. Cetaphil is clinically shown to strengthen the skin's barrier and protect even the most sensitive skin against dryness, so you can look healthier. Complete your healthy routine with Cetaphil.
Fact is, every insurance company hopes you drive safely. But Allstate helps you with DriveWise. Feedback that helps you drive safer, and that could lower your cost.
An attractive entryway makes a dramatic improvement on the appearance of your home. At Strictly Doors, we custom build residential and commercial doors in-house by hand. We never use subcontractors. All our products are hurricane rated. Strictly Doors, trusted by area homeowners for over 30 years. An attractive entryway makes a dramatic improvement on the appearance of your home. At Strictly Doors, we custom build residential and commercial doors in-house by hand. We never use subcontractors. All our products are hurricane rated. Strictly Doors, trusted by area homeowners for over 30 years.
Please, help us stop the killing today.
Every season, every storm, every time you watch, trust in the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 82 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, some clouds, low 78. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Thursday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 80%. Thursday night, late night thunderstorms. Low 76. Chance of rain 40%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Do not get out on the roads until you're told it is safe. We need the roads to be open for first responders and search and rescue to do their jobs and save lives. If it is not safe to leave your house, don't leave it. If you and your family made it through this storm safely, the worst thing you can do now is to act foolishly and put yourself and your family in danger or keep law enforcement and rescue workers from saving lives.
It's good advice there, because in every storm we see that very thing happen, that people don't heed the curfews, that they don't heed the barriers, or they, wind up somehow touching down power lines. And all of these can be real dangers to you and your family. If you are in a safe spot, the best bet now is to stay there and to ride out this storm. I'm meteorologist Mark Elliott, coming to you from Cordele, Georgia. And I want to tell you right off the bat that what you're seeing right around me doesn't give you the full scope of this storm right now because our winds have shifted around. They're now coming out of a more southerly direction, which is right at you, right at the camera, which means the building is blocking all of it. We're going to try to move this camera so you can really see what the winds are like in other non-blocked areas. That'll come up in about 10 minutes or so. But for now, I can tell you that there are real risks here in Cordele. We're talking about intense wind with the core of the storm coming right through right now. That has knocked out power to much of the area, including the area I'm standing in right now. Over 8,000 customers without power, and that number could continue to increase just in this small area that I'm standing in alone. The numbers in Georgia are well over 100,000 customers and far-reaching, not only South Georgia, but all the way up towards the Atlanta metro with at least some power outages. Now, that could have been because we had a tornado-warned storm come through earlier today, and of course that can knock out some power as well with those strong winds. Now, let's talk about what was happening near the coastline, because now we've got this interior storm with the wind and the rain, but at the coast, it's a totally different ballgame. You have that wind pushing the water in. Cedar Key, Florida, you had a storm surge event. Water was creeping up through the beaches, getting right up into streets and businesses and homes, and we saw that in coastal community after coastal community. It was certainly worse near the core of the storm where that storm surge was marching in. I will say back here in Cordele, the sounds here are quite eerie, right? Power's out from wherever you can look. The wind is kind of whistling its way through the trees. We hear some limbs breaking. Well, I no longer hear the wildlife. Earlier I was talking about the frogs. I think they've taken shelter now as well because it is just you know, this is the core of the storm. After this goes by, things are going to get a lot more tranquil, but we got to get there first. Let's get a look at where it's already gone through and where it is a little bit more tranquil right now. I want to bring in Chris Bruin from Panama City Beach. You know, double-edged sword. It's tranquil there, Chris, but my goodness, there's a lot of cleanup to go once light arrives tomorrow.
Yeah, where do you even begin? I will say the sunset tonight was pretty spectacular. It's hard to believe that we were dealing with a major hurricane, barely a Cat 5 almost, and now things are cleared out. The sky is clear. You can see the stars because there's no power, there's no city lights, and then you're left with damage like this. But now this is the aftermath. Let's take you back to what it looked like at the heart of the storm, just before it made landfall here in Panama City Beach and after. Take a look at what it looked like on the western edge of the eye wall.
All right, it's 12:37. We're about an hour from landfall, and here's what we're dealing with. I mean, waves up to 30 feet at times. I mean, you can barely make out the pier. They've covered the pier at times, and the winds are really starting to pick up, gusting close to hurricane force. Current time is 1:13. We are minutes away from landfall here in Panama City Beach. Winds gusting well over hurricane strength, probably gusting over 100 miles per hour. We're expecting tornadic-like conditions here for the remainder of the afternoon and before things pass inland. It's about 1:26 p.m. Eastern time. We're expecting a landfall at any moment, if not already. Look at the winds. This is the outer eye wall, folks. And again, we're gusting well over 100 miles per hour. Look at how the parking lot has gotten flooded. I mean, we're talking about a foot deep here. And look at the trees. Look at the trees just baking in the wind. It's currently 2 o'clock East Coast time. We made a landfall about 15 miles off to our east. This is about the worst of the winds. And boy, are they coming in.
All right, again, boy, thankfully, it's a lot different now. Oh my goodness, it was brutal, Alex, and it's exhausting just watching it. People who have been up all day, Alex, are tired, and now they have all of this to clean up, and that's almost the worst part. The aftermath. People don't realize how long it takes to get back to some sense of normalcy, and that's what we're going to be dealing with here for quite some time in the days to come. Alex, back to you.
You said it, Chris, absolutely. I guess a good part of this is it is moving so quickly, getting out of here, and that's going to allow things to be a bit calmer as some of those recovery efforts take place over the next couple of days. But as we look at the very latest, of course, Michael making that landfall earlier today near Mexico Beach, Florida, as a Category 4 hurricane. And boy, this is what it was like to be in the eye wall. Take a listen.
Oh my God. Oh, there's hey. There's the rest of the building. Oh, there's a lot of the rest of the building.
Rough indeed. That eye wall can absolutely be one of the most dangerous parts of a hurricane. You do not want to find yourself in that situation. So let's get you to the latest advisory here from the National Hurricane Center. 10 o'clock Eastern time here, winds at 80 miles per hour. So still a hurricane at this point, but we have seen it continue to slowly wind down a bit now, moving to the northeast at 17 miles per hour. So again, very fast movement, but again, still dumping quite a bit of rain, bringing those gusty winds across parts of Georgia. And it'll continue to slide towards the northeast as we head through the coming days, through the Carolinas as we head through our Thursday.
Today we're here to talk about trucks.
I love trucks.
Well, what truck brand comes from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road?
I think it's the Chevy.
Ford.
It's not Ford.
I think it's Ram.
It's not Ram either.
It's
Chevy.
Gorgeous.
Get a total value of $10,000 when you finance with GM Financial. That's 20% below MSRP on this Chevy Silverado. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Have you noticed everything has a day? For instance, January 21st is National Hugging Day. But anyone can give a hug. Even this guy, he gives great hugs. But you do way more than give hugs. You care for your kids, your parents, and even the guy across the street who waves a lot. And AARP is here to help, connecting you with the tools you need to navigate the realities of caregiving. Think of it as one big hug. Take on today and every day with AARP.
Ever since Daryl's family started using Gain Flings, their laundry smells more amazing than ever.
Honey, isn't that the dog's towel?
Hey, me towel? Sue towel. More Gain scent plus Oxy Boost and Febreze makes Gain Flings our best gain ever. Gain. Seriously good scent.
People don't expect a female mechanic. They also don't expect Lean Cuisine made with organic ingredients. But here we are, introducing a new line from Lean Cuisine. My favorite, new Farmer's Market pizza. With its crispy organic crust and mozzarella cheese. Feed your phenomenal with Lean Cuisine.
Our craftsmen begin each day perfectly seasoning our Hillshire Farm smoked sausage. So by simply adding the right ingredients, you can end each day crafting a perfectly delicious dinner.
With worsening weather patterns, an aging vulnerable power grid, and the growing risk of cyber terrorism, power outages are a part of life now. That can be stressful because we depend on power more than ever. When the power goes out, we lose everything. We can't even charge our smartphones. Now more than ever, you need a Generac automatic home stand